Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.
All right, down the stretch we come during the NHL season as the Utah Mammoth doing their best to make sure that they lock up a spot in the upcoming playoffs. Joining us now, he is the radio voice of the Utah Mammoth. The games that you hear right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Mike Folta, kind enough to join us. Mike, how are you?
I'm good. A happy MLB opening day. Boy, that just kind of snuck up on us, didn't it? I get kind of jealous this time of year. Like, for a few glorious weeks, the NBA and the NHL, we kind of had the sports calendar to ourselves, right? We share it with March Madness a little bit, but for the most part, it's just us. Now the MLB comes in and you know, all the baseball people come crawling out of the woodworks. And I love baseball. I'm a baseball guy, played it growing up, but just professionally, it's like, oh man, it was nice to have the spotlight here. But the NHL spotlight's only going to get brighter. We're coming down the final stretch here. Big one against Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals tonight. So you have the greatest goal scorer in hockey history coming into the Delta Center for what could be, and what I think a lot of people think very well will be his last trip to the Delta Center and to Utah, if he does retire next season.
Do you get the sense that that's going to be the case?
It's hard for me to say, being outside the Capitals org and outside that room. But like, the crazy thing is, he's 40 years old. He's still leading the Caps in goals and in scoring. Now you watch him on the ice and you're like, that guy is leading the team in goals. He doesn't skate a lot. He doesn't move around a lot. And still he is able to score goals and produce. It is a marvel of nature. And he's done it all, Scotty, on a diet of like what I ate in college, like Subway sandwiches, spicy Cheetos, and like he's drinking Diet Coke on the bench in his Gatorade bottle. So he hasn't exactly leaned into like the TB12 method, but he's still scoring at an incredible rate.
He's not going 75 hard, that's for sure.
No, he's not. But like, I remember we went to Washington last year, and I remember thinking, this is last season, and I remember thinking, like, gosh, he did not do anything. And the guy somehow still had 3 assists. Like, I'm like, how is that possible? He had a 3-point night. I barely saw him move. He didn't take one face off in the defensive zone, and yet he still led everybody on the ice in scoring.
All right, so for those of us that are really trying to immerse ourselves in the game and not just appreciate the current status of the game, but the history of the game, with what we saw the other night from Connor McDavid, is that a guy that if he stays on the trajectory he's at now, which I'm sure he will, and let's say he picks up a trophy or two along the way, will he be in the same breath as Wayne Gretzky and Mario when it's all said and done?
Well, you threw in a little line there that is what everybody is wondering. Can he get that little trophy? He hasn't had the Olympic gold. He got the 4 Nations, if you count that, but he hasn't had that big one, right? Hasn't had the Olympic gold medal, hasn't had the Stanley Cup, which is what everybody in Edmonton everybody across the hockey world is wondering. Can the best player in the world in the ultimate team sport, can he finally be a part of a cup-winning team? If he does, he's absolutely in that conversation with Lemieux and Gretzky. If he does continue to produce at the level that he is. But again, that's a big if. And he signed a 2-year contract to stay at Edmonton. He took a huge hometown discount to stay at Edmonton and to try and win a cup there. But he only signed a 2-year deal. He could have easily. I mean, we just saw Nick Schmaltz with the Mammoth sign an 8-year, $64 million deal. I mean, Connor McDavid could have signed for all of King Midas's silver if he wanted to, but he chose to sign for 2 years, and so his future is, I guess, in doubt after these next couple of years, whether he'll stay at Edmonton or not. But hockey is the ultimate team sport, and your legacy is defined by how many cups you win. A lot of ways.
Mike Folta, kind enough to join us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, so I want to there was an NHL.com story about how Utah may be becoming a destination location for a lot of players. Utah and Bill Armstrong has done a tremendous job of locking up core players and keeping them in Salt Lake City. Just give me, from an outsider. Now you're not an outsider anymore. You're one of us now, Mike. So I'm not. I don't want to project you as an outsider, but a guy that's now kind of immersed himself in the community. What is the reputation of Salt Lake City and this Mammoth organization across the NHL?
I think it starts with Ryan and Ashley Smith. I think if you ask anybody, that's the first line of the answer. The way that the ownership has committed itself to winning. Part of that's the practice facility. Part of that's committing capital to good players with these long contracts, like we saw with Nick Schmaltz, and also like we saw with Mackenzie Weegar as well. Like that guy, he had a no move clause in his contract. He could have told the Calgary Flames, "Nope, I'm not going to Utah. Send me somewhere else, but I'm not going to Utah." He had that right in his contract, and he waived that right in order to play here for the Mammoths. So I think the commitment to winning is first and foremost. And we've seen Ryan Smith send the jet to go pick up players and stuff like that. And anytime you ask players, because they've all been asked about it multiple times at this point, how do you like Utah, all that stuff. And I think the first thing that pretty much everybody says, if it's not Ryan and Ashley Smith, is the welcome party back in April of 2024 when the team finally or first came from Arizona to Utah. There was that big welcome party, and the players got off the plane, and they're greeted by hundreds of youth hockey players and families here in Utah. I think that moment was kind of a tentpole moment for these guys in transitioning to their new digs here in Utah. And Scotty, the team's winning. The team's winning. It's an exciting team to play for right now. Like, you can't attract guys to every location in the NHL like you can to New York and LA and things like that. But if you're winning, it's a whole heck of a lot easier. And the palm trees seem to grow a little bit taller when you are winning, as opposed to when you're trying to rebuild.
All right, so that Edmonton loss hurt 5-2, and then you look at the last stretch. Things have gotten a little. I'm trying to think of the right word to use, wobbly, if you will. Is there a concern level from you about the current status of this team trying to play its best hockey going into the playoffs?
No, I think we've seen a little bit of up and down from the Mammoth here recently, and look, there were a couple goals there that Karel Vejmelka probably should have stopped. He's been really good all year, but just kind of had a little bit of an off night against the Oilers, and that's not a team you can afford to have an off night against with guys like Connor McDavid out there trying to score on you. So it was, the team lacked a little bit of offensive intensity in that game against Edmonton, but you're around everybody today at morning skate, and the mood's pretty high. Guys are confident. But did you see what happened in the second intermission? I know you're at Tim Daly Nissan right now. Tell the folks at Tim Daly Nissan to stay far away from sponsoring the intermission shoot the puck contest, because the poor guys over at Ken Garf had to fork over a brand new Honda Ridgeline.
Wow,
because
the guy knocked it through, huh?
What's that?
He knocked it through.
I always thought those were carnival games where like the opening is smaller than the puck, but James from Riverton had an incredible shot and walked away with a brand new truck. So tell our friends over there at Tim Daly Nissan, hey, stay away unless you want to be handing out cars for free. Stay away from sponsoring that intermission show.
I was calling a game up in Logan, and sadly I was talking and reading a commercial line. I don't know what was going on, but all of a sudden the crowd just erupts. And you've been up in that arena, you know how crazy that can be. And I'm like, what just happened? We're in a timeout, and a guy hit a full court putt. And I went and looked at the thing afterwards. The hole for that ball to go through was maybe a half inch wider than the actual ball itself. I still don't know how that guy knocked that through, and he ended up winning like tuition for the upcoming year. Like, that dude should have won several $1 million based on that, because I don't know how he did it. it still blows me away.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Because he had probably taken some putting lessons with PK the morning before.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's a good point. Hey, I talked to Bill Armstrong earlier in the week, and he talked about Veggie, and that Vanacek has kind of helped him up his game, and there's this kind of friendly competition between the two. Just how important is that for, and I don't want to say a competition, but for high tide to lift all boats, that these guys just kind of keep pushing each other?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think when you consider how Karel Vejmelka is kind of wired a little bit, he's really competitive. He's a great teammate first and foremost. But he has responded really well to challenges this year. That game against Edmonton was just the second time all year he had been pulled, which is pretty impressive considering he's among the league leaders in games played. But he was pulled earlier this year, and then the game that he comes back, the next game he starts, he throws a shutout.
Yeah.
So he's had similar types of bounce backs like that throughout the year. So he has shown that kind of desire, like, okay, I didn't have a great night. I want to get back in the net. He's the type of guy that wants it. Like he wants that opportunity to help the team win again after a night that he would maybe want back. But I think when you consider that, as part of his personality, I think that challenge is really healthy for him. But as far as Vitek goes, we think he's going to start tonight against his old team, the Washington Capitals. That's how he came up through the minor leagues into the NHL with Washington. So it'll be really cool for Vitek to go up against Alex Ovechkin tonight. Alex Ovechkin has scored against basically every goalie in the NHL. In 5 games against Vitek Vanacek, he has scored 0 goals on 19 shots. So hoping to keep that streak alive tonight. And like I said, Vitek's been really good as of late. Like his last 6 or something starts have all been like his best 6 starts of the year. His numbers don't look great when you look at his record because he hadn't been getting much run support throughout the early parts of the year. But now he has been getting the goals in front of him. The team's playing a little bit better in front of him. And it's a great opportunity for him to help the Mammoth win after Karel Vejmelka had one of his tougher nights of the year last game.
All right, so I don't know what you're going to think out of this, but Lloyd just in my ear, and I agree with him. All of us immediately thought when you said that, jinx. And so, are you a superstitious broadcaster at all? Because there's a lot of people now that are a little concerned about what's going to happen with Ovechkin tonight.
I feel like if it's not on the broadcast, it can't be considered the broadcaster jinx to me.
Okay.
Now,
okay. So a pregame interview. All right. Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Yeah. You got to draw the line somewhere. Like at some point, if we're not telling the story of the night, we're not doing our jobs, right? But I did have I had a tough moment in the minor leagues once where, and this moment actually went viral. Like CBS put it on their TikTok page. It had like tens of millions of views, and they've reposted it since. Thanks a lot, CBS. But it's me in the minor leagues basically trying, like, I'm tempting fate. It's like, all right, this guy's got a shutout. I'm just going to say the word shutout, 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 shutout. There's no way that I break the curse. Then what do you know? The team we're playing against, the Savannah Ghost Pirates, they go down and score on poor David Tendek, ruining what would have been his first AHL shutout. I got fined by the team. Like the coach levied a fine against me for dropping that many shutouts on air. So I try to avoid saying it now because I don't want to get fined again by Andre Tourney. But I don't know how much I believe in it, but just for my own sanity and for everybody else's, I try to avoid it.
So we were calling a football game. I don't want to say it was this year as it was last year. and the Utah State kicker was on a heater. He'd made like 10 field goals in a row. It was in the fourth quarter, big field goal, and I'm lining up the kick, and my color analyst, Kevin White, one of the best dudes on the planet, goes, do you know he's 10-0 over his last, he's made his last 10 field goals in a row. And I stopped calling, like, in the middle of, like, oh, Kevin, what have you just done? And that's how I led into it, because he said that, and I just immediately go, oh, no, Kevin, you just didn't do that.
I think kicks in football are a little different because there's, like, this collective pause, right? Free throws are the same way. There's this collective, like, deep breath that we all take, whereas maybe in baseball or in hockey, if you say the word shutout, like, there's a lot more continuous action, I feel like. A kicker, though, like, come on, we literally invented icing the kicker. Like, that's a football thing, right? I mean, you're icing the kicker in a way. Come on, Kevin.
Hey, all right, so you were with is it the Rockford Ice Hogs?
Yes, that's right.
And so you just that's the team you were with, and then you mentioned another team that just had a funky mascot. Is this like common for the most bizarre nicknames to be at that level of hockey?
Oh, yeah. So in the ECHL, you get some really good ones. We were in the South Division, and we had the Greenville Swamp Rabbits.
Nice.
We had the Savannah Ghost Pirates. We had the Orlando Solar Bears. Their mascot was a polar bear with a hockey stick and sunglasses. Like, just incredible, incredible branding. There was the Jacksonville. They used to be called like the Jacksonville Lizard Kings. That was like their original team. There was another team in Greenville that was the Greenville Growl. Like, their team name was the Growl, but it had like 4 R's in it. So it was like onomatopoeia basically. But yeah, you get some pretty wacky names in the minors. It's the same thing in baseball, right? But hockey joins the fun with the creative nicknames.
All right. Give me your keys. What do you need to see tonight from the Mammoth against the Capitals?
Well, it's a big, heavy team, the Washington Capitals, and so Utah's going to have to really be urgent about getting to the dangerous scoring areas in the offensive zone. They didn't have that urgency and that intensity offensively against the Oilers. They were actually pretty good against McDavid. Yeah, he scored 2 goals, but one of them was an empty netter, and they never really kind of let him take over the game. But they lacked the offensive bite that we've seen from them in the past. So attacking quickly and intensely in the offensive zone is going to be key. Special teams is going to be big. Last time these two teams met, 4 of the 5 goals were scored on the power play. So win the special teams battle. And we're going to see Daniil Boot in the lineup tonight. He's a former first-round pick of the Coyotes. He had been down in the AHL with the Tucson Roadrunners. It's not a crazy nickname, but maybe like a 5 out of 10.
Solid.
And he's going to be on a line with Dylan Gunther and Logan Cooley tonight. So a big opportunity for the young Russian. It'll be fun to see how he does playing with a couple young superstars.
All right, so I'm not there yet, but I want you to know that I am studying every aspect of this game. I'm learning everything I can about hockey. I want to be as educated as I possibly can so that there will come a day where you and Adrian will say, hey, would you like to make a guest appearance on Mammoth Daily? I'm not there yet, but I'm just saying that's one of my bucket lists, to be able to make just a random appearance on Mammoth Daily.
Don't beg, Scotty. It's unbecoming. Come on. We just had Dave Joseph on, the PA announcer for the Utah Mammoth. Great conversation with him on our show today. But all right, Scotty, fine. You wore me down. We'll get you on the list.
No. Look, I have to earn it. I'm not. I'm there. Yes. Is there begging going on? Yes, that is true. But I do want some level of earning ability to be able to go there and say, okay, yeah, you know what? I can talk with 2 of the best hockey voices in the market right now, because I've known Adrian forever. He's such a good dude, and fired up for what you guys do on a daily basis. You guys are killing it, and you're killing it with the play-by-play. Can't thank you enough for hopping on with us.
Thanks, Scotty. And again, tell those folks over at Tim Daly Nissan, stay away from the intermission sponsors, because people are winning these cars left and right.
Done and done. Talk to you soon, Mike.
See you, Scotty.
He is the radio voice of the Utah Mammoth, Mike Folta.
Reggie, I just sold my car online.
Let's go, Grandpa. Wait,
You did?
Yep, on Carvana. Just put in the license plate, answered a few questions, got an offer in minutes. Easier than setting up that new digital picture frame.
You don't say.
Yeah, they're even picking it up tomorrow. Talk about fast.
Wow, way to go. So, about that picture frame.
Forget about it. Until Carvana makes one, I'm not interested.
Car selling made easy. On
Carvana.
pickup fees may apply.
If you've got a move coming up, you really need to look into United Van Lines, the do-it-all moving specialists. With United Van Lines, you don't worry about a thing. You have a dedicated moving coordinator, qualified drivers, and full value protection for your possessions. Compare that to a couple of dudes manhandling your family heirlooms or cramming your things in a container on your driveway. Rather than hope for the best, you deserve a hassle-free move. Visit UnitedVanLines.com. Big moves, small moves, all moves. Easy choice.